Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, today we have for you something that's pretty good. The A10 Warthog by Xingbao. This is worth hanging around for, believe me. Usual 60-second speed build, some pics, and then we'll get into the review. Let's crack on and build. Right, welcome back. Okay, usual format, so we don't get too overexcited. This is the instructions. As you can see, it's fairly thick and it's a proper book. Now, don't be put off by the fact that this is a really thick book, because the way the instructions are done. So let's find something. This is fairly typical. So this whole section up here, 6.1, is actually only 5 bricks. The section below it is 4 bricks. It's very much like that throughout. There aren't that many bricks generally per section, which actually means you do end up flying through this quite quickly. Another thing that I really like that they do is all the bags were numbered and they stuck to those bags. There wasn't anything where you had to then go and hunt it from another bag or anything like that. And the bags were basically big pieces, medium pieces, small pieces, and that was it. There wasn't 15-16 bags in each section or anything. It was, in fact, overall the instructions are excellent. Really some of the best I've seen, except for one area, which I'll show you in a minute. And the way that this has been thought out, the actual the build process is, well, the actual build process is, the way it's been thought out, is probably second to none. It was really fun to do. It's very engaging, very much fun. Now, the only bit that I struggled with that is actually up here, when we were basically joining the two engines to the aircraft itself, and that is purely the angle that they've got something drawn. There's this section here. So on this bit here, for instance, where the yellow section is, it appears to be a T section that pushes on, and then you have open ends on either side, and then you have this elbow joint. That's actually another elbow joint, and I spent quite a while looking for another bag that I thought I might have lost or dropped or something like that. But apart from that, very good instructions, and that always bodes well as far as I'm concerned. Now, everything fits very well together. It's not ridiculously tight, so if you do make a mistake you can get it off quite easily, but it does stay together really nicely. Nothing discoloured, nothing missing either, and nothing was warped. One thing I like especially I'm going to point this out straight away. This was something I had a little moan about when I did the two Mustangs, the comparison between the Wange Mustang, which had big pieces for the wings, and the Zhongquan, which had small pieces for the wings. This actually has a mixture of both, and it's very nice in that you haven't got anything, you haven't got any little ridges poking at you. It's not a case of you push down here and then this just juts up a micrometer or something like that, but just enough that you can see it. It fits that well together. The overall design of this is just stunning. It's got everything. Again, going back to the two Mustangs that I did, one had ailerons that worked, the other one didn't. Here we have working ailerons. One had a working rudder, the other one didn't. We have working rudder. One had working flaps and the other one didn't. We have working flaps. So we've got the whole lot here. And this is just very, very good for a model. There's 900 pieces, I think, 960 pieces, something of that nature. And it's pretty solid as well. Yes, underneath, as you would expect, the missiles and the bombs are not held overly well. The bombs, actually, to be fair to them, that one's coming off. But that's the nature with particularly jets that carry bombs or missiles or something of that nature. They do tend to be a bit fragile. They do fall off. Now, really, the only thing that I can criticise them for is on the undercarriage. Now, if you see on the front wheel, the actual flaps, and these are quite stiff, by the way, so I might struggle a little bit if I just change hands. Just ping that out a little bit. Give myself a fighting chance. Right. So on the front undercarriage, obviously that lifts out, and then when you close that, it will lock that in place. But you don't get that with the two rear wheels, and that actually is a slight problem because of the weight distribution in the model itself. It is it's not fully back heavy, but there is quite a bit of weight back there. So when you, and believe it or not, it does actually make a difference putting the bombs and missiles on there. When I first put it together, you do actually put make the munitions up fairly early on. Well, I've been around long enough by now that I'm just going to stick them to one side and I'm going to put them on the last minute. But it was noticeable on the undercarriage that it just kept doing that. It did it slightly less when I put the munitions on, because obviously there's a touch more weight forward, but it is a little back heavy. So just bear that in mind if you're going to pop this on a display or a shelf that isn't entirely flat. If it is ever so slightly back, it will go like that all the time. And because of that, these do have a tendency just to collapse forward. It would have been nice to have some sort of locking mechanism here. I mean, these flaps, yes, they sort of almost finished the undercarriage part off. It would have been nice to have seen that, for instance, around here, so that when you lift the wheel up, that could be folded down, locking that into place. That would have been but that is literally, that's the only thing I could criticise them about, because this is, it's just joyous. It was so much fun to do. It was engaging. You felt like you know, it was every few bricks you were making progress, It wasn't one of those builds where you spend half an hour and you put 40-50 bricks together and it doesn't look as if you've done anything all the way through. Very, very cleverly thought out about how to make this model. So some of the detail is fantastic. I love the fans in the engine, the way they are, and at the back, the way the engine has been put on as well is very, very good. Although I did criticise the elbow joints for not appearing to be elbow joints in the instructions, that is very, very solid. Again, this is something that you would normally expect to be a little bit fragile, and don't want to get too close to it, but you can hold it up by those engines. Yeah, there's quite a few models I wouldn't even think about doing that on. So this is £23.03 when I've adjusted it for to include the part of the postage and packaging. And oh, there's no stickers, everything is printed. It would have been nice to have had a little bit of colour, but you know. But at that price, £23.03, rip their arms off, you know. Take my money. It's just very, very good. As I say, it's a little bit weighty, not entirely perfect, but if you've got a couple of bits of spares around, you could perhaps alter that at the bottom, then you've got something very special here. I think this is very good. And this is by Xingbao, who I don't think I've ever done a model by Xingbao before. They're a company that I'm aware of, but actually I'm aware of them mostly for doing German and West German fighting vehicles, tanks, something like the Weasels, the Leopards, Marders, all that type of stuff. I didn't think until I received this that they did anything other than that, so that was quite a nice surprise. And in fact, that's one thing I'm going to make sure I do, is go and order something else by Xingbao to make sure that this isn't a one-off. But this is very good, very good indeed. I even like the little exhaust from the missile being fired. There's a nice little touch to it, something that I've not seen generally on, although I think the J35 did something a little similar on the engines. But yeah, £23.03, well spent as far as I'm concerned. And it's an excellent representation of an A10. No real complaints from me at all here. So there we go, that's this week's model, or this Wednesday's model, the A10 by Xingbao. So hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again. You take care. Bye bye.